Olá, estamos começando mais uma edição do VidroCast, o podcast da Abravidro. Esta edição especial foi gravada no estúdio montado na Glass South America, a maior feira vidreira da América Latina, realizada em São Paulo no mês de junho. Eu sou Yara Bentes, superintendente da Abravidro e editora da revista O Porque. Eu converso agora com Juan Ignacio Aranguren, head do escritório Zaha Hadid Architects. A Zaha Hadid foi uma grande arquiteta e designer iraquiano-britânica, reconhecida como uma das maiores profissionais da área do final do século XX e começo do século XXI. Ela faleceu em 2016, mas deixou um grande legado sobre a aplicação do vidro em projetos ousados, que fugiam das linhas retas e adotavam contornos orgânicos, curvos. Juan, thank you for joining us today and welcome to VidroCast.
Thank you for having me. Lovely to be here.
Zaha Hadid Architects is renowned for creating great projects with glass. Why should an architect take their chances on this material?
It's a material that is essential to construction. I don't think we can foresee construction of buildings in any other material. There has been some materials that have replaced glass for some functions, but I don't think there hasn't been produced any other material that can replace glass as such. We cannot go back to a stage where we can live without glass. Glass is essential to our building environment.
What do you think are the most benefits from glass comparing to other materials?
Well, the fact that we can connect to the exterior world, we can experience our surroundings. I think, if anything, we want to maximize. I think the built environment wants to maximize the feeling of being outside. We don't want to be in caves. We don't want to be in caves. Architecture has evolved from moving from a very closed, sheltery environment where you start losing your connection to the outside to be able to be completely surrounded by nature. That's where we want to be. Of course, this material needs to provide the basics of comfort for human life. But I think at the moment, glass is really irreplaceable. I think glass, we'll probably talk about a little bit about glass and the environment, but I think it's essential. We as architects, we don't see being able to replace it with any other material.
That's music to our ears. Several of your projects use organic architecture concepts. How important is glass for designing a building that goes beyond the obvious?
We worked with glass. Yesterday I was having a conference and we talked a lot about how we use glass. And I showed several examples of different applications of glass. I started with a project we did a long time ago. We finished in 2005 in Innsbruck, a series of railway stations, a small railway station line connecting Innsbruck to the top of a mountain. And we used glass in that case for cladding material, which is, it's let's say, less usual than just for facade purposes. This was double curved glass that we used to clad these canopies of the stations. So that was quite unique, quite unusual. It was a very nice experience working in a different way with glass. But of course we have used glass in many different ways. Yesterday I was showing how we have used glass as a faceted material, giving it more texture or more, to be more rough or more smooth texture. How we can pleat glass, we can create pleats, and those pleats serve as to provide different ways to connect to the outside or to provide shade to the inside. I also show how we use the glazing in a unitized system, and this unitized system, to clad an office tower. Not necessarily you need to look at a curtain wall system, but you can use it as a pixel and how these pixels are associated to create a different texture and a different, give the facades a different feel and a different character. And lastly, I think we have there's many ways on how we look at that, and we can also be looking at a double glazed facade, and we're finishing a project now in Hong Kong where the facade is very ambitious, but our being Chinese, our clients are very concerned about feng shui, and so this client wanted to step away from all these, sharp angles and very rectilinear type of use of glass, and most of the facade is curved, and that allows us to have a complete connection. What I was saying at the beginning, this connection not only with your surroundings, 180 degree angle, but also be able to see below and above. So I think this is something very special and unique about us.
How can we maintain the legacy of such an important architect without losing the characteristics that made her known throughout the world?
Well, Zaha Hadid Architects was set up in a way that was always it was about experimentation, and Zaha was very kind and was a great mentor. But everyone that worked with her, all of us that worked with her, were able to contribute. We're given the opportunity to propose, and she was making sure always that we would give our best, we would excel, and providing good ideas and new ideas to design new buildings. And that legacy continues nowadays in our office. In the same way we used to do it when she was with us. We continue to do this experimentation, this exploration, and new ways of configure architectural space. And we think that legacy is very alive and producing amazing new designs and new buildings.
Okay. The concern regarding sustainable architecture and also having a construction work that is less harmful to nature and natural resources has grown exponentially in recent times. What is the role of glass in this context?
Well, as I said at the beginning, we're not going to run away from glass. Glass is essential, and glass can adapt to all this performance that is required from facade systems nowadays and for building population. We may be looking at different materials for how to structure our buildings. Maybe some people are looking into having timber structures, or instead of concrete, or reducing the amount of concrete used in a building. But certainly glass is still there, and it continues to develop technically to be able to deal with energy conservation. With if anything, glass needs some support. Maybe in some latitudes, in some locations, maybe needs some support in the way of shading devices, or some places, tinting glass, or there's many ways on how we can that are currently already in place to make glass adapt to a good performance of in sustainable terms of a project, of a building.
Okay. What are your favorite projects by Zaha Hadid Architects that have glass as a standout element, and why?
Well, I think there's many projects I like about that we have developed. Of course, some more historical and some more recent. But let's talk about maybe one of the recent ones. This project, this tower we did in China, in Beijing, is called the Lisa Tower. And Lisa Tower is a very beautiful, very tall, 200 meters tall, has a beautiful atrium, and is a very soft, curved envelope. And this is the envelope I was talking that is composed of this unitized glass system, and we can create this kind of texture. And you can see, I think we managed in that project to provide something that hasn't been done before. So it was quite special, but it's also very special that we have it's basically two towers connected. We have this amazing atrium, which is the highest atrium in the world, and we have this atrium is clad also with glass. So we have different different typologies of glass. We use a kind of a catalog of different typologies of glass that we use in that project. So I find that was interesting how we managed to achieve this very rich project with the help of glass.
And what do you think to be the biggest challenge in working with glass?
We like to do very ambitious geometries. To do these ambitious geometries, we need to undergo a rigorous process of optimization of these shapes, so that we try to minimize the double curvature glass, or even the single curvature glass for some projects can be very costly. So we try to be very efficient on the use of these elements. Sometimes it's not possible depending on the project, and that's fine. That's completely fine. But we like to push. We would like to see curved glass being more widely used, and that may represent, that the production cost can be lowered. That's what we would like. but yeah, I think this is the challenge. For us, is to optimize the use of glass in the project.
Brazil had great renowned professionals in the so-called modern architecture, the most famous of them being Oscar Niemeyer. And they have also made significant contributions to increase the application of glass in buildings. How do you observe this movement?
We were all taught architecture, and we learned architecture from the modernists. So, when I studied architecture, my mentors were part of that. Part of that movement still, especially in Latin America, that stayed very strong for many years. We see this as an important historical milestone in architecture. We are since the start of Zaha Hadid Architects, and Zaha Hadid herself, she was pushing to try to evolve from the modernist movement. We need to evolve as human beings, and architecture as a form of art also needs to evolve and be able to get through technology and advancements in culture and civilization. We want to see we are we are always trying to see ways on how architecture changes to provide better service to people or to users. And so in that sense, the modernist movement was starting to be a bit of a, it didn't allow enough flexibility and to architecture and to the need of users. And I think, we have pushed that. And we have configured, we are configuring our projects, evolving from that modernist movement to better serve civilization. You're right. It's a big word. The users, the final users.
Okay. Is there anything in the Brazilian architecture that draws your attention nowadays?
Oh, absolutely. Oscar, being a good friend of Zaha, and Zaha cherishing, his work, and keeping very close to her heart some sketches that he gave her. Remember that. I respect it. And we continue to learn a lot from Brazilian architecture. We recently been looking at single residential homes. We developed a project recently in Latin America, in the tropics, and of course, it's always, we as architects always look at the masters, always look for inspiration. We still find a lot of inspiration from these historical projects, and they're very alive still, and we keep rediscovering.
How do you see the future of glass application in architecture?
I think I'm not going to repeat myself, but I think it's very important. I think I mentioned some of the answer for this question along the interview, but I see glass components that can be smarter, that can perhaps capture provide information to the users inside those buildings. They can record information, and so nowadays this technology, I think, is very close to be deployed widely, where you can have monitors of temperature, of humidity, and be able to provide information back to the building, and how a building can be smart enough to respond in different ways through this material, through glass, to adapt to its environment. Different seasons, different temperatures, adjust to different conditions along the day, along the year.
Do you think that users are familiar with the benefits of glass? Or because you're talking about the architects, how much they know and they try to use all the aspects of glass in the constructions, in the buildings they project. But do you think that the end users are familiar with that those benefits come from glass?
I would imagine. I'm not them. I am quite aware of these benefits, and I think many people would be very appreciative. I think anyone that has sat in an enclosed space and working for a long period of time or lived in a very enclosed space would be able to see the benefits of being closer to your surroundings and to the sky, gardens, green nature around you. So I think people should be able to recognize that.
Okay. You have been here in Brazil to participate on Glass South America and Esquadria Show as a keynote speaker in our content arena. How was this experience to interact with the Brazilian audience?
Very grateful for the invitation, being able to be here and share our experience. It's been a very good experience. It's a fantastic show, and all the speakers that I've been able to listen to their work have been very interesting in their talks. So I hope my talk was interesting and was and open some new ideas for people that came and listen to it.
And now you're going to have the chance to visit some buildings from Lina Bobardi and other Brazilian architects, or you're already going back home?
I think I'm struggling. I'm trying to find time to be able to see the MASP and Copan building and so many projects to see, the glass house, etc. They're really on top of my priority list. The time is running out, and let's see. I'm going to try to find some time to still have a look at somewhere.
Oh, I wish you get the chance to visit them. They're really amazing. Juan, thank you so much for talking to us today. I wish you a nice return home, and that you come back to Brazil and get the chance to visit not only Lina's and Casa, the Glass House, but also that you get the chance to go to Brasília, that is our capital city, and where you can find many of the buildings from us.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bom, ficamos por aqui neste episódio do VidroCast. A você que assiste esta edição ou nos ouve, fica o convite para que nos acompanhe no YouTube, no Spotify, no Deezer e SoundCloud. Siga e curta o VidroCast para sempre receber os nossos conteúdos. Até a próxima!